What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is Thursday, September 2nd. We are 1 week away from the 2021 NFL season starting. I'm very excited to talk about Week 1 NFL lines with our good pal, Kenny White. What's up, Kenny?
Hey, Will. Yeah, I'm excited too. Football is here. You can smell it in the air. I think that's what I'm smelling, or it's my smoker out back. I don't know. One of the two.
That is the smell of the football, though. The smell of a good smoker. But other gambling week episodes, we got our buddy Gup talking about awards futures, Aaron Schatz talking Super Bowl futures, and coming up, we have a special return of He Who Shall Not Be Named on a Saturday mailbag, a very special episode that we've actually recorded. So you can go and check that out this weekend while you're mowing your lawn. Football season, as we mentioned, practically here. So why don't we raise the stakes of the Pick Six Podcast Pick 'em Pool? You can compete against us and other listeners for your share of bragging rights and prizes. Get started today by downloading the CBS Sports app by visiting cbssports.com/pick6. It's simple. Sign up. Make picks against the spread every week. Weekly winners get a sweet championship belt, and the year-long winner gets $1,000 and a guest spot on the podcast. So that's cbssports.com/pick6. Kenny, before we dive into these Week 1 lines, what would you like to plug?
Oh, thanks, Will. You can always follow me every week on CBS HQ. That's for sure.
You have to plug CBS. I was thinking
in the afternoons, but at Kenny White Sports, I'm still, the magazines are out, Will. And you know what? I'm going to do a discount for your faithful listeners and followers on the show. We'll do Pick Six 25. Pick Six. So Pick Six. And then
SIX, right?
Yeah, SIX, and then 25% off the NFL magazine or the college magazine, which was 4-0 last week. If you followed it,
and for those that are watching on YouTube, I am holding the college magazine.
Crushed it last week.
Okay, so for the picks, for the weekly picks, are you just what is the so like when you do your power ratings for the NFL or for college, like, so in other words, I guess if somebody buys the magazine, how do they know what, like, do you have to like look at your rating versus the spread, right? And then determine which to play.
I have projected final scores in both magazines. When you look at the schedule, you'll see the projected final scores I have and the percentage chance that team has to win that game. So in the college one, I actually put my line in total in there. So you can compare that. But the thing about all these numbers, they were made back in April. I'm making adjustments. They're still good today. But you know what? This week, every team's going to change a little bit. I'm going to adjust every change. So actually on my website at thepowerratings.com, you can sign up and you get the NFL and college ratings adjustments every Sunday night. You get both and the projected final scores for the upcoming week and the rest of the season. And it's $19.99 a month.
Oh, that's a great deal. All right, well, go sign up at thepowerratings.com. And if you want the magazine, use promo code PICK625. I can attest, Kenny will get on a heater. He's not scared to get on a heater. That is for sure.
Never scared of that. No way.
Nobody's ever scared of a
let's get hot.
Yeah. All right, let's dive in and look at some. Oh, actually, no, before we dive into Week 1, I want to point out that the Saints and Packers game has now officially been moved. Because, obviously thoughts and prayers with everybody in New Orleans. It is a touchy time. They don't have any, like literally hundreds of thousands of people are without power. Hopefully they get it restored, but there was almost no chance that they would be able to get, it would be difficult to get power to the Superdome for Sunday night. So they are going to play in Jacksonville. The Jaguars are opening up their home. And so TIAFF or something like that, some bank stadium in Jacksonville that the Saints and the Packers will play at. I haven't seen the line, Kenny, but and we had referenced before the show that, you like the Saints until, but not when it's at home. Now they're plus 4.5 at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. So the line only moved a half a point when the Saints were not at home. That's kind of crazy, right?
Isn't that? Yeah, I was just going to talk about that the line was 4 and now it's 4.5. Very surprised that it only moved a half. I thought the 4.5 was too high, or the 4 was too high in the first place, especially playing at home. I have Jameis Winston starting quarterback. Thought he was the better quarterback. The only problem with the Saints is, no Michael Thomas, Onamada's out, and then Marshawn Lattimore. So they lose 3 big players. They're going to need some time to really, I think, come together as a team without Drew Brees. So this was going to be a strong play for me, but I've kind of backed off it. I'm going to wait and see what the Saints put on the field and how they play together before I start betting on them.
I think that's a good call. And it's possible they come out and they just look incredible with Jameis Winston. You never know. I mean, you never know, right? Like it's possible, but a wait and see approach is probably smart. By the way, shout out to Ryan Satsky and all the guys at who I was emailing with, all the guys at our CBS sports research department. They do an insane amount. Like when I first got at CBS, we didn't have a research department. I mean, not that I knew of, or like at .com. And now these guys put together these like crazy thick previews with tons of information against the spread, trends, and all kinds of stuff. Great factoids, and really appreciate all the hard work that they do. They do it all behind the scenes, and we use them when we talk about these games and you know what, like who to bet on and all of that, and what kind of trends are going on, and they don't get enough attention. So just want to give a little shout out there. Homefield, what do you think about Homefield in the NFL in 2021?
Yeah, let me give you a little survey. And I got to do a sports science episode with John Brinkus back in 2008 when he was on Fox. Yeah, cool. They flew me to LA, got me a limo, brought me to their warehouse. Beautiful setup, awesome. A big warehouse, and it was a lot of fun. Watched a couple episodes while I was waiting to go on, and I did a lot of research that week on home field in every sport. I found out soccer was the highest home field advantage, and baseball was obviously the least advantage. And it all had to do with fans in the stands and how loud the fans were. And those fans gave the home team an advantage, whether it was communication together or the opponent not being able to communicate. But more than anything, it was those fans giving influence to the referees to call more penalties against the visitor and be easier on the home team. And that's just human nature. So looking back at the last 5 years when there were fans in the stands in the NFL, the home teams won by 1.9 points per game. They won the game 57% of the time. In 2020, with no fans, home teams won 134 and lost 131, 50.6%. The percentage dropped 6%.
Wow.
The point difference was 0.3 last year, opposed to that 1.9. So I think 1.9 is the right home advantage average across the board. That's everybody. So not everybody's plus or 2-point advantage. Some teams like the Chargers have a 0 advantage
or a negative advantage.
Yeah. The Jets are 1. Jacksonville, Miami don't have great advantages either. But some teams have great home advantages. The dome stadiums, Denver, Green Bay, Kansas City, Seattle, all very loud and are worth 3.5 points to the home team.
Okay. And so you think that, I also think it's possible too that, and this applies to different teams in different ways. For instance, if you have a quarterback in his second year, he's going to be playing in front. I mean, and obviously these guys have played in front of fans before. It's not like they're going to be, oh my God, what are these people doing in the stands? But, some of these guys have never played in front of an NFL crowd before, and they're going to be doing it for the first time. And I think that's something we need to be cognizant of, where if you have like Justin Herbert.
There you go. That's why I was waiting to get my turn.
Oh, well, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Tell me. I mean, like Justin Herbert's a guy I think we need to think about, especially because he's learning a new offense with a new coaching staff, and he's going to be trying to communicate with his team, for the first time with just a crazy environment around him. And I think that is something to think about, across the course of a season, especially early in the year.
Phenomenal year. I have him ranked the 12th best quarterback in the NFL just after 1 year. That's high praises. But,
wow.
Everything that you bring to the table there, Will, is spot on. He didn't play with no fans in the stands on the road last year. So he was able to audible, able to communicate. He was able to read the defense better. The noise will create some friction in his audibles, and it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be as easy. And everybody has tape on him now. They know his tendencies much better this year than last year. They always say the sophomore jinx, and that's what could happen to Justin Herbert this year. So that will keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, good stuff on the home field advantage, and I think we will see it manifest itself more aggressively in 2021, just because fans are, first of all, I mean, like the day that this is coming out, I'm going to the NC State game and in Carter Finley in Raleigh. And I'm telling you, it is at 7:00 at night, and people are rabid because it's the first tailgate since 2019. I mean, people are pawing at the dirt to get out there, and I think it'll be the same for NFL fans.
I am so glad to hear that, because watching UCLA Hawaii last week, I was just in shock. They reported 32,000, and there was no way. It's a 90,000 seat stadium. I think there was 10,000 people in that stadium. It looked like it was a practice game or a high school game. I was really in shock. And you know what? I thought, well, they must have some type of mandate that you can only allow so many in the stadium, but that was not true. It was the UCLA fans decided they weren't happy with the product. Yep. And then people are still worried about getting COVID. So they were worried about being in big crowds. So nobody went to the game. So that'll be interesting. I'm glad to hear everybody will be in Raleigh, fired up for NC State the start of the season.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're an NC State fan and you're listening to this, you should definitely check out Kenny's college power rating book, because he has the pack rated very high. Not just a coincidence that we happen to be talking about on the same day. At any rate, so week 1 for the NFL, let's dive in. A week from today, the Cowboys will head to Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are -7.5. The over-under is 51.5. Tampa is the first defending champion to return all 22 starters since the 1977 Raiders. Tom Brady, 5-0 against the Cowboys in his career, and the Super Bowl champ. It was all last, I think 16 of 19 or something like that. They played 13-3 straight up and 11-4-1 against the spread in the opener. Certainly the trends and the player movement this offseason probably tend to favor the Buccaneers. And that's why they're a touchdown favorite at home against Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. This one opened up 6.5 and now is up to 7.5. So I like Tampa a lot, even at 7.5. I made them an 8-point favorite in my magazine back in April. But again, I think they're in far better shape. I mean, you think about everything that happened last year. Tom Brady comes into a new team. COVID breaks out. He has no time to really work with his receivers, no time to get any continuity. Start the regular season with no preseason games, all unknown, really just, introducing each other basically to each other. And then they played the longest amount of time of anybody before a break. And then once they got that bye week, this was a different football team. So again, now the offseason was the big buy. They've been able to work together. We find out that Brady was playing injured with I don't know if it was a torn MCL or strained MCL all year. Amazing. So yeah, this is I have them tied for second best rating in the NFL. I have Kansas City first at 108.5, Green Bay and Tampa at 107.5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you here. I like the Buccaneers a lot in this one. I also think this is going to be an extremely popular teaser leg and money line parlay where people bet the Bucs and then, pick up some favorites in college football over the course of the weekend. And then, maybe wrap it up with a Sunday. I don't know if it'd be Sunday night with the Packers, but a Sunday game. And you can tease the Bucs down to 1.5 and you feel pretty good about that. I also really like the over here, Kenny. I think Tampa can name their price against Dallas with that new defense, ton of rookies, ton of young players. I'm wholly out on Mike McCarthy after watching Hard Knocks, and I just don't know that Dan Quinn with the new scheme is going to be able to slow down Tom Brady. I don't think it'll happen. I think the Buccaneers will want to send a message that last year's offensive production down the stretch was actually what this team is. Tom Brady led the NFL in air yards at 9.2, and they're going to put up points in this one. The thing about Dallas that's nice for overs is, and we saw it last year, even if they suck on offense early in the game, they are going to throw to try and get back into it. And I think we could see something similar here. So I like the Bucs and the over.
Yeah, and Dallas has no defense. Even bringing in a new defensive coordinator is not going to plug the gaps that they don't have talent on defense.
Right.
They should have brought in some defensive players first. But you're right. Kellen Moore is going to throw. And that's what he likes to do. He's very aggressive. They fall behind. They're going to just air it out. I agree. I made the total 54. We're looking at 51s. And I can't agree with a higher number. I mean, my 54, if you said I was too low, I'd say, all right, I agree. I'm going to move it to 55 or 56.
Yeah. And again, first week of the season, you're talking about Bruce Arians is not going to try and get a 21-0 lead and run up the clock against a Dallas team that can score very easily. I think they keep their foot on the gas. Will
we get what we got last year when the NFL decided not to call offensive holding the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season?
That's a great question too. Well, it's interesting because they are putting this emphasis on taunting, right? And while I think it's stupid and old get off my lawn, old Manny, when you do that, you are giving the official something else to watch for, and you're emphasizing watch for this, and maybe that takes away from them, see, like, calling more holds. I think the NFL likes the idea of the product being points early in the season.
Yeah, I believe so. They did a great job of it last year. I never thought even they would do that.
Oh, because I remember last year you were like, I think it's going to be big under season early on, and they just didn't call holding.
Under. I was under every game in the first week of the season and got blown out of the water. I got off to a really bad start. So I'm not going to take any chances anymore, because that would have been the case. If they would have called offensive holdings, that's 7 to 10 points per game sometimes, because that's a score. So yeah, well, I'm going to wait and see, but I will play this game over, because you know what? There's only one way they can go. They're not going to call more holdings than they normally would. They're only going to call less if that's going to be the case, because, hey, they have two premier quarterbacks playing in this game. They want to make sure those guys are upright the entire game.
Absolutely. You have the greatest player in the history of football coming off at 44 years old, coming off a Super Bowl victory. And then you have a Dak Prescott coming off an injury, playing for America's team. I mean, this is a Cowboys Bucs is like, the NFL is expecting boffo ratings, and you don't get great ratings if it's a boring game with lots of penalties. I think there's probably be an edict for them to let's ease up on the holding. Yeah. A less sexy game, but no less bettable. The Jaguars at the Texans, over under 45 here. Trevor Lawrence will be starting for the Jaguars as the number one pick. Number one picks that started in week 1 are 3-13-1 straight up. I believe since the merger, according to CBS Research. 7 rookies have been favored in week 1. Again, the Jaguars, they haven't won a road game since 2019, Kenny, and they are a 3-point favorite on the road. The Texans have lost 4 straight week 1 road games. Week 1 games, not road games. And the Jaguars haven't run, as I mentioned, a road game since 2019. 7 rookies have been favored in week 1, and only 3 have come away victorious. Do you like the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer to storm into Houston and pick up an early season win?
Well, they get a bonus by playing maybe the worst team in the NFL with the Houston Texans without Deshaun Watson. And that's, I really haven't gotten the final word on that. I'm thinking there's no way Watson's playing in this game.
No. I don't think there's any chance he plays in this game. He is now the risk that you run betting on this is that Deshaun Watson, according to reports, is going to be on the active roster for the whole year, but inactive for game day, which is just another reason why they're going to be the worst team in football. You're playing with 52 guys.
Yeah,
you are hamstringing yourself that way. And in fact, I was gonna say, if you look at, I believe I saw this on Twitter, but on the Texans website, their depth chart list, it has David Mills, I think, is the first quarterback, and then there's a blank for number 2, and then there's it's like, let's see, Tyrod Taylor first, David. Oh, they changed it. They had nobody in the number 2 spot for a while there, so it's a whole mess going on, Kenny.
It is a mess. And the drop off from Deshaun Watson to Tyrod Taylor, I have 6 points. I already had Houston ranked tied for 27th in the NFL at 95 rating, 5 points below average. You take out the 6 points, they're an 89 rated team now, dead last, 4.5 points worse than the Detroit Lions. That's how bad Houston is. So Jacksonville could possibly get the win in this game. I like it under with a rookie quarterback coming in, lots of pressure. I have not heard great reviews. There are, some excuses that Trevor Lawrence was feeling the pressure of Gardner Minshew and how well Minshew was in practice. Just in practice, he was feeling the pressure. He was throwing a lot of picks, and they said, well, you know what? We got to take pressure off this kid. Let's get rid of Gardner Minshew and let this kid feel comfortable that it's his job. He's not going to be comfortable in his first NFL game, and Tyrod Taylor is going to have no supporting cast. This is going to be an under game. So big total at 44.5. I don't care if they don't call holding or not. This game's going under.
I tend to agree with that. And one of the things that, we sometimes try to read not too much into the preseason. The Jaguars didn't do anything on offense in the preseason. And given how Urban Meyer has botched the Gardner Minshew thing, because he took away first first team snaps from his number 1 overall quarterback for a guy who's going to trade for a 6th round pick. He had ETN lining up in the slot. Like there's all of these things happening that lead me to believe the offensive struggles in the preseason are genuine offensive struggles, not some sort of, we don't care about the preseason, we'll be vanilla. Now, I'm sure they'll have different stuff to bust out, but I don't think that offense is going to be cohesive out of the gate.
And we hear all the time, college coaches going into the NFL, it doesn't work because they come in raw, college attitude. And you know what? You think a guy this smart would not do that, but that's all I'm hearing and reading in the Jacksonville paper, that he's coming in with a raw college attitude, and the players don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, Pete Prisco's been talking about it. There's just a lot of negative buzz surrounding Urban Meyer and, his interaction with the players. And so I think that offense struggles to get going. Houston just isn't going to be a dynamic offense. They're going to try and run the ball. They showed that they have a decent offensive line and 3 running backs. They showed that in the preseason. That's what they're going to be. And that means melting clock. I like that under as a good look. Chargers at Washington. It'll be Fitz Magic against Justin Herbert. Fitzpatrick 13-5 against the spread in his last 18 starts. The Chargers were a covering machine down the stretch, winning and covering their final 4 games of the season. And after starting 1-5, not starting the final 10 games of their season, they went 1-5 and then finished 4-0. They were 0-6 against the spread and then went 4-0 down the stretch. The offense just came alive. New coaching staff, of course, so totally sort of a different setup. In the past 2 seasons, Chargers 7-16 in 1-score games. That is virtually impossible to pull off. And you would think there'll be a bounce back of some kind. Does the bounce back start for the Chargers in Washington or no, Kenny?
Well, we talked early in the show about Justin Herbert against hostile environments, and you can better believe Washington is going to be hostile. That defense is great. They are the real deal. So I'm on Washington. I made them the 2.5-point favorite, the football team. And it's all about the defense. And it's about Ron Rivera, that he has his, he has his program, his systems in place now after 1 year there. Whereas the Chargers, you're right. They're changing philosophies with the new quarterback, everything on both sides of the football. It's a completely different feel. We have no idea if Brandon Staley is going to be a good head coach or if he's just an assistant coach. That's the one thing you got to worry about. Some guys are made for being a head coach. Some guys are just made for being an assistant. So we have no idea. So I think there's question marks. I really don't have them rated that high either. Both teams I have rated a 101, 1 point above average. So home field advantage, rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback going on the road for the first time. He's a rookie seeing in professional crowds. So I think the number should be more like Washington, 2.5 or 3.
Yeah. And one thing to think about with Washington too, now that field is still a miserable fan experience, and it's a total dump and it's way out in the middle of nowhere. But Dan Snyder is no longer the controlling owner of this team. His wife is in charge of the team. Ron Rivera basically came in, took a ton of power, cleaned house. They've revamped everything. They got rid of the nickname. I think you will see Washington football fans buying back into what's going on with this team. There's optimism around this team for the first time, like legitimate, the core is in place and they can win some games, and they got Fitzpatrick. So I think that crowd will be pretty rowdy for this game, and whereas in years past, maybe it was empty and you could come in and you wouldn't have to deal with the crowd, pre-COVID, of course.
They got 2 really good running backs with Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, but Jarrett Patterson, the rookie out of Buffalo, is going to be an absolute stud in the NFL. And I think he's going to take a lot of carries away from both these guys this year. I think they really like him. I like what I've seen out of him.
By the way, Ryan Fitzpatrick, since week 7 of 2019, with a minimum of 10 starts, looking at quarterbacks who cover the most, Ryan Fitzpatrick second to only Lamar Jackson, 72% against the spread for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Old Fitzmagic loves to cover, and I think this is a good spot for him. I tend to agree that as good as Justin Herbert was, there is going to be a little bit of a step back, and that could happen in week 1 early on. All right, let's take a quick break, and we come back, a few more of Kenny's favorite bets from week 1. The Dolphins are headed to New England. It seemed like Bill Belichick might try and play coy with who he's going to start, but then he just cuts Cam Newton, and now it's the Mac Jones show. What the Pats are -2.5 here, over under 44. I'm curious though, Kenny, what did the departure of Cam Newton and the locking in Mac Jones as the starter, how did that change New England in your power ratings, if at all?
Tell you, Bill Belichick doesn't put up with anything. I think there was Cam Newton he was not in the COVID protocol doing the correct things he was supposed to be doing.
Pete Prisco, I said this on HQ on Tuesday night. Pete Prisco's like, stop with the vaccination stuff. It had nothing to do with it. Yeah, right. Cam Newton missed 5 days of like critical practice.
Yeah.
And Mac Jones took all the snaps. And I've been saying it over and over again. If Cam Newton is your quarterback, you have to game plan for him, specifically for him as an offensive, from an offensive coaching perspective. If he gets ruled out on Friday because he's not vaccinated, that you're probably you might not lose, but you're costing yourself a competitive advantage. And that's what Bill Belichick lives for.
No doubt about it. So I had Cam Newton 2 points above average NFL quarterback. And I had rated Mac Jones -1 point below average to start the year. So in this case, I know you have to have a feel for ratings and how good teams are. And I've got a good feel that Cam Newton that's where he is. He's 2 points better than an average NFL quarterback. He's no better than that. I don't think he's no worse than that. So if Bill Belichick was willing to depart with him and bring and use Mac Jones as a starter, I got to believe Mac Jones is better than what I thought. So I upgraded Mac Jones's rating to 1 point above average. I upgraded him 2 points. I dropped the team's power rating a point from 102.5 to 101.5. And I'll just have to work my way up on that. I don't want to jump on them right away because of the quarterback change. But in week 1, I already had a play on the Patriots. So I'm staying with it. And it's not more on the Patriots play. It's more against a Miami play.
Yeah. And remember, another quarterback, we talked about Justin Herbert. Tua Tagovailoa is going to be starting this game. There's no Ryan Fitzpatrick break glass in case of emergency there to save him. You do have Jacoby Brissett, but I don't think they'll bring him in week 1. This is I actually don't know the numbers on Saban. I mean, it's just Saban on Belichick going up against his old proteges, but I think it's probably fairly good. Although he has some notable losses on there. He's going up against Flores in this particular game, and we all know this. The stats are out there about young quarterbacks going up against Bill Belichick, particularly in Foxborough. They struggle. Tua is still a young quarterback. I think he'll have a better season than people expect, but this is a really tough spot for a week 1 matchup. And again, Tua played at Alabama, has been in front of fans tons of times. He has never played in front of fans in an NFL experience, or not many fans in the NFL. I guess he had Buffalo fans in week 17 last year. And now he's going to get the freaking Boston loaded to the gills with I mean, they're going to be lit up coming in there for the Patriots home opener, and they're going to be fired up, and it'll be loud. It's a tough environment. I agree with you. I like the Patriots here. By the way, the Patriots 10-5-1 to the under last year. Dolphins 9-7 to the under. 45 feels a little high for me because I think the Patriots are going to be a run-heavy team, and I don't think Miami will try and be too aggressive on offense against a good New England defense.
Yeah, I agree. Last year's scores were very low, 22-12 and 21-11, the two games between these two teams. Now, the one thing, the offense does change a little bit with Mac Jones. Now they're back to what more Bill Belichick prefers, the same offense they ran with Tom Brady.
I think they want to be like 2001 New England, where they win with defense and running the football, and then Mac makes clutch third down throws and 2-minute warning stuff.
Yeah, he's not going to take chances. He's not going to put Mac Jones in a position to fail. So right. I agree. My number was the Patriots -7 with Cam. Now I have taken 1 point off the rating. I still make the game 6. I have question marks about Tua and his arm strength, whether he's going to be a true NFL quarterback or not. Well, he's going to be an NFL quarterback, but is he really a starting quarterback in the NFL? Does he have the talent to be that guy? Does he have the talent to be a difference maker? And you know what? Another red flag pops up with the I don't know why my video went off. I didn't do anything.
If you're watching on youtube.com at youtube.com/pick6, you get to experience the magic of a Zoom. I don't think I can control it though.
I just tried to turn it back on, but it didn't go back on. But anyway, okay. They're talking about the Dolphins being the front runner for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
That means they don't have faith in Tua either. There's no way that they could have faith in Tua. If they're going to go out and look for a quarterback who has legal issues, no less, to bring in, that means they just don't have faith in Tua.
You're letting it get leaked out that you are interested in Deshaun Watson, even if you're trying to deny it, and they haven't come out and outright denied it. If you're doing that 2 weeks before Tua is making his start in New England, then you're not exactly pumping the guy up with a ton of faith in his ability to go in there and win that game. So I like the Pats in the under there as well. And I think Miami could, maybe we sort of raise some eyebrows about Miami as to how they will perform this coming season. The Ravens head to Las Vegas for, I guess this will be the first Raiders game full of fans. And the Baltimore Ravens are substantial favorites, 4.5 in Las Vegas, over under 51. Last year, the Raiders were the best in the NFL at allowing the over to hit 12-3-1 last year. Although, 12-3-1 last year in terms of the over. Baltimore has been outstanding in season openers in the last few years. They have outscored their last 3 season opening opponents 144-19. And Lamar Jackson, a prolific cover machine on the road, 13-4-1 against the spread in his career on the road. Do you think he can cover here in Las Vegas, or do the Raiders have a little surprise in store for John Harbaugh and company?
I think they'll have a little surprise. I think the Raiders are a fairly decent team with that home crowd playing at home on a Monday night. They pulled the big win last year against New Orleans in their home opener without a crowd. The crowd's just going to help everything. 80,000 seats. It's going to be full. It's going to be crazy. That's going to be a bonus to the Raiders. And I like your overplay. John Gruden's team last year was 10-4 over in the first half, 11-5 over in the second half. Wow. So it's not just the entire game. You can go over first half, second half, and for the game with the Raiders. We know Baltimore is going to put up points. They've put up a lot of points the last 3 years in their opening game. That scares me a little bit. You know what? I don't think there's anything to that. Small sample size. The Raiders stay close, hang close in a high-scoring affair.
The Raiders are actually 4-1 in week 1 in the last 5 seasons. Their only loss was that game at the Rams in 2018 when the Rams came out and we found out that the Rams were going to be Star Wars offense all year. 3 of those seasons, the Raiders won outright as an underdog. So there's some at least history of this team being ready in week 1 to pull off some wins. I'll take the over. I'm a little petrified of betting against the Ravens, mainly for the reason that you outlined. But Kenny, I think it's worth noting that we can talk about the Ravens being explosive on offense, and they'll be able to run the football. But they lost J.K. Dobbins, Marquise Brown is hurt, Miles Boykin is banged up, Rondell Moore is it Rondell? Wait, which Rondell is it? Which one of the? Oh, Rashad Bateman, not Rondell Moore's on the Cardinals. Excuse me. Rashad Bateman is banged up. Like this wide receiver and pass catching group for the Ravens is not exactly in the greatest of shakes.
Yeah, that's the receiver core is down a little bit. Mark Andrews, I think, is their best receiver as the tight end. This is going to be a running football team. We know that. Gus Edwards is going to get the bulk of the carries. We know we're going to see Lamar Jackson toting it. He's going to have a big year running. I think Lamar Jackson has learned so much the last couple of years, and the experience he's garnered. I think he could go over 1,500 rushing yards this year, Will. It's going to be a big year for him. Yeah. That
would be something else. All right, let's pick one more game and then we'll get out of here. Just trying to think. Bears at Rams. That's the Sunday. Is that the Sunday night game, or is it Packers and
Bears and Rams are Sunday night? Yes, it is.
So Packers and Saints was just a regular Sunday game.
Correct. A 4:25 Eastern kickoff.
Okay, there you go. All right, Bears at Rams. Rams -7.5. Excuse me. Over under 44.5. Any thought on what to do with this one? I think I mentioned the teaser in the money line parlay. Maybe this is the Sunday night. Tease it with tease the Rams with the Buccaneers. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know. That's a good question. What could go wrong with that? I like it. You're getting a lot of value. Buccaneers to the Rams. I only have the Rams a 7-point favorite, but I am a 7-point favorite. I think they win the game almost 73% of the time. I have them. My total 41 points. Ooh. I lean to the under. It opened 45. It's down to 44.5. We know how good the Bears defense is. Andy Dalton is going to be under pressure. And I do believe Matt Nagy promised Andy Dalton he would be the starting quarterback if he signed. And then he thought about, Justin Fields is so good, he probably should be. But we played the Rams in week 1 on the road. Why would we throw the rookie into that? Let's throw Andy Dalton into that mess and let him play poorly, and then let Justin Fields play from here on out.
Yeah, I think, or at least Andy Dalton was promised that he would get to start instant against the Bengals in week 2. Like that's, Andy, we guarantee you we're going to get you week 1 and week 2. You can have Aaron Donald, then you can have your Bengals revenge game. But after that, it could be Justin Fields. The under, by the way, 3-0 in games when Matt Nagy and Sean McVay have gotten together. I feel you can picture every Bears-Rams game in your head, and it's just incredibly sloppy. The one thing that would concern me about the under, I guess, would be that if Sean McVay wants to, and I think he will want to show off his new toy, Matthew Stafford, and have Stafford maybe take some shots down the field to Deshaun Jackson or something like that. But the under was 12-4 for the Rams last season. That is absolutely notable. And also the Rams are 4-0 straight up and against spread in week 1 games under Sean McVay. The dude just gets his team prepared. They come in and play, and they like to win football games. 34 points in 2020 between these two teams, 24 points in 2019, and 21 points in 2018. This is just Matthew Stafford has a familiarity with the Bears, 11-9 straight up all time, and has the 6th most quarterback wins against the Bears since 1950, trailing only Favre, Rodgers, Starr, Tarkenton, and Unitas.
Last year, with all of the overs in week 1, he still found a way to keep the game under the 2017 victory over Dallas, under a total of 52 it was, and they only come 37 points. So, yeah, I love the angle with the McVay against Nagy to the under with 2 really solid defenses.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think we've identified some pretty solid picks for week 1. Remember, you can and I mean, do you think how are you going to play it this year, Kenny, with the COVID stuff? Are you going to, now you said you already had the Patriots play in, but are you going to try and get in early in the week? Or are you going to wait, are you going to try and beat line movement? Obviously you won't see, you want closing value, but does all the COVID stuff concern you at all in terms of making bets early in the week?
It does concern me, but I have to, stay with the process. And, I'm always a guy that says bad breaks are 50-50. So the COVID thing with bad breaks, I feel like is going to be 50-50. It'll happen sometimes. Sometimes I'm going to be on the right side of it. Sometimes I'm going to be on the wrong side of it. When it doesn't happen, I'm going to get the best of the number. So yeah, I'll be wagering early because I believe that's the only way to bet. If you bet the line on the day of the game, that's the best line. That's the most difficult line to beat. Yep. I'd rather bet into virgin lines early in the week.
All right. Perfect stuff. Follow him on Twitter at KWhiteyVegas and go to is it the powerrankings.com or the power
ratings? It's all about ratings. Anybody can rank things, Will, but nobody can rate them like me. The powerratings.com.
That's true. The powerratings.com. Make sure and check out Kenny's college football and NFL power ratings books. Use promo code PICK625 to get 25% off either or both mags. Kenny, always a pleasure, buddy. And we will talk to you soon.
Will, thanks for having me. Yeah, looking forward to it. Excited about the season getting underway.
All right, man. Take care.